Rachel was radiant at her 30th birthday party, an event she had organised with full dedication for weeks. The guests gathered to sing happy birthday, but Dennis, Rachel's boyfriend, mysteriously disappeared. When he finally reappeared, he brought an unexpected gift, a broom. Some guests were outraged by the unusual choice, but no one was prepared for Rachel's surprising reaction. Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is Linda Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. Rachel had always dreamed of a memorable birthday to celebrate her 30th birthday. She wanted it to be a special party, not only to mark the beginning of a new decade in her life, but also to bring together all the important people around her. What made her even more excited was the confirmation that her grandparents would be coming from the small town where they lived to join the celebration. While organising the party details with her friends, Rachel couldn't help but smile at the thought of her grandparents. The couple, married for more than 60 years, was for her the perfect example of enduring love and companionship. Rachel loved telling others about the small gestures of affection she had witnessed between them since childhood. "You have to see how my grandfather still treats my grandmother like a queen," Rachel would excitedly tell her friends. "Every week he picks wildflowers from the garden and leaves them in a small vase on her bedside table. And Grandma, even at her age, still insists on preparing his favourite dish every Sunday, that eggplant lasagna that only she knows how to make." Rachel fondly remembered the summer vacations she spent at her grandparents' farm with her cousins. The mornings were filled with the smell of fresh coffee that her grandmother made, while her grandfather was already in the yard tending to the garden. In the afternoons, the two always took a walk hand in hand around the property, watching the sunset together. "The most beautiful thing is how they still look at each other," Rachel once confided to Dennis, her boyfriend. "It's as if, after so many years, they still see in each other the young people they fell in love with." Rachel and Dennis had been together for 5 years. They were a couple cherished by everyone, always smiling and ready to help friends and family. Although Rachel often talked about her admiration for her grandparents' marriage, they felt no rush to formalise their union. The video will be back shortly. In the meantime, we kindly ask you to consider giving a like, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment. The video is back. They were happy living in the present and slowly building their plans for the future together. The beginning of their relationship was worthy of a romantic movie. Rachel worked in a bookstore downtown while trying to establish her career. Dennis was a frequent customer, always looking for new poetry books. For months, they exchanged shy glances and discreet smiles over the shelves. One day, Dennis gathered the courage and approached the counter with a book in hand. But instead of asking to buy it, he extended the open volume to Rachel. It was a collection of Pablo Neruda's works, and Dennis had marked one of the poems. With a trembling voice, he began to recite the verses to her. "I want to do with you what spring does with the cherry trees." Rachel, touched by the gesture, felt her face blush. At that moment, she knew that something special was beginning. She accepted the invitation for coffee after work, and since then, they had not been apart. Now, about to turn 30, Rachel felt she was in a perfect moment of her life. She had a job she loved as an editor at a fashion magazine, a solid relationship with Dennis, and a loyal group of friends. The birthday party would be the cherry on top, a celebration of everything she had achieved so far. The preparations for the big day were a source of joy and also a bit of stress for Rachel. She wanted everything to be perfect, from the decorations to the menu. Her best friends were always by her side, helping to choose from hundreds of options. "How about we use these flowers for the centerpieces?" suggested Louisa, showing an arrangement of white lilies. "That would be beautiful," agreed Rachel. "And we can match them with napkins in this light blue shade. What do you think?" Dennis initially also tried to participate in the preparations, but it soon became clear that his ideas weren't exactly aligned with the vision Rachel had for the party. "Love, what do you think about making a sports-themed decoration? You love sports," he suggested excitedly one day. "We could hang balls from the ceiling." Rachel laughed, amused by her boyfriend's enthusiasm. Dennis, darling, I appreciate your creativity, but I think I'll go for a more classic style. When it came to the menu, Dennis's suggestions weren't the most appropriate either. What if we served pizza and chicken wings? Everyone loves pizza and chicken. With a lot of tact and affection, Rachel managed to convince Dennis to leave the party details to her and her friends. My love, I know you want to help, but I think it will be better this way. I promise it will be amazing. Even though he was not involved in the preparations, Dennis continued to show an almost exaggerated interest in every detail of the party. He kept asking about the guest list, the schedules, and the sequence of activities. Rachel found it a little strange but attributed it to his desire for everything to be perfect. In the week of the birthday, with almost everything already organised, Rachel tried to reassure her boyfriend. Dennis, don't worry, everything is under control. I just need you to arrive on time and with a smile on your face. Finally, the big day arrived. The party was taking place in a charming venue decorated with soft lights and flowers everywhere. Guests arrived smiling, greeting Rachel, and praising every detail. The grandparents were among the first to arrive, to the granddaughter's delight. Rachel greeted them with a tight hug, moved to have them there. You have no idea how happy I am that you came, she said, with tears in her eyes. The music was playing lively. People were chatting happily as they enjoyed the carefully chosen appetizers. Rachel mingled among the guests, radiant in her navy blue dress, receiving congratulations and sharing smiles. However, something seemed out of place. Dennis, usually so sociable and outgoing, was quiet and seemed nervous. Every now and then, Rachel caught him glancing anxiously at the clock. Is everything okay, love? She asked, concerned. Yes, just a bit tired, he replied, forcing a smile. As the night progressed, the moment to sing Happy Birthday was approaching. Rachel looked for Dennis, wanting him by her side at this special moment, but she couldn't find him anywhere. A tinge of irritation hit her. Where could he have gone right now? The guests were already gathering around the cake table, a 3-tiered masterpiece covered in white icing and decorated with delicate sugar flowers. Rachel, a bit disappointed that Dennis wasn't there, was getting ready to blow out the candles when a murmur spread through the room. Dennis finally appeared, but in a way no one could have predicted. He was walking towards Rachel holding a broom in his hands, and it wasn't just any broom, it had a huge red bow tied to the handle. Astonished silence filled the hall. Rachel looked at Dennis as the guests exchanged confused glances. Dennis stopped in front of Rachel, extending the broom as if it were the most precious of gifts. My love, this is my special gift for you, he said, his voice choked with emotion. The reactions were immediate. Some of Rachel's friends were visibly outraged. One even stepped forward, ready to defend her friend from what seemed to be a terrible offense. But before anyone could say anything, Rachel's reaction took everyone by surprise. Her eyes filled with tears, and with a choked voice, she said, Yes, my love, I accept. The confusion on the guests' faces only increased. Accept what? A broom. It was then that Dennis, with trembling hands, took a small velvet box out of his pocket. Opening it, he revealed a sparkling engagement ring. Carefully, he placed the jewel on Rachel's finger, who was now openly crying. Those present watched the scene without understanding anything. What did a marriage proposal have to do with a broom? Sensing the general confusion, Rachel decided it was time to explain the meaning behind that unusual gesture. She asked for everyone's attention, and holding hands with Dennis began to tell a story that few there knew. When I was little, Rachel began, my grandparents told me about their marriage proposal. It's a story that has always moved me and that I shared with Dennis early in our relationship. Rachel looked lovingly at her grandparents, who were smiling emotionally from the other side of the room. My grandfather was a gardener on a large farm, and my grandmother worked as a cook on the same property. They fell in love, but my grandfather was a very simple man, unable to offer luxuries or even a traditional engagement ring. Rachel's voice was laden with emotion as she continued. One day, after work, Grandpa called Grandma over to talk. He said he couldn't promise riches, but he had a lot of love and the willingness to build a life together. Since he didn't have a ring to offer, he looked around and saw a broom leaning against the wall. At this moment, Rachel made a dramatic pause, looking at the broom in Dennis's hands. The guests were completely engrossed in the story. My grandfather then picked up the broom and said to my grandmother, "My love, I don't have a gold ring to give you, but I have this broom. It represents my promise to build a home with you, to sweep away all the difficulties and to keep our love always clean and renewed. Will you marry me?" Many of those present already had tears in their eyes, touched by the simplicity and depth of the gesture. My grandmother, of course, accepted, and they built a wonderful life together. They were never rich in money, but they had a wealth no bank could hold, their love. Rachel then turned to Dennis with a radiant smile. I always told this story to Dennis, saying how I found it romantic and special, and today he surprised me in the most beautiful way possible, showing that he heard every word and understood the true meaning behind it. Dennis, emotional, took the floor. Rachel, just like your grandfather, I want to promise to build a home with you. I want to face all the challenges by your side and keep our love always strong and true. The broom is a symbol of my commitment, but the ring is the realization of our dream. Would you give me the honor of marrying you? The entire hall exploded in applause and cheers. The friends who moments before were ready to defend Rachel were now crying with emotion. The grandparents approached to embrace the young couple, their faces marked by tears of happiness. Rachel's 30th birthday party turned into a double celebration, the beginning of a new phase in her life and the official start of her journey alongside Dennis. The cake was cut, the candles blown out, and the guests toasted not only to the birthday but also to the engagement. As the music resumed and people danced excitedly, Rachel and Dennis stepped away for a moment, going to the balcony of the hall. Under the starry sky, they shared a passionate kiss. "Thank you for this incredible gift," whispered Rachel. "Not for the ring, but for showing that you truly know me and value what is important to me." Dennis smiled, caressing the face of his now fiancée. "I should be the one thanking you for teaching me the value of simple things. I promise our life will be full of these small gestures of love, just as your grandparents taught us." Back in the ballroom, Rachel couldn't help but notice how her grandparents danced together, still so in love after so many decades. She knew she had found in Dennis someone with whom she could build a love story equally beautiful and lasting. The broom, now resting in a corner of the ballroom with its red ribbon, was no longer just an ordinary object. It had become a powerful symbol of love, commitment, and the beauty that exists in simplicity. Rachel knew she would keep it fondly, as a constant reminder that true love doesn't need luxury or ostentation. It only needs sincerity, dedication, and the desire to build something together, day after day. As the party continued into the night, Rachel felt truly blessed. Her 30th birthday brought not only maturity and professional achievements, but also the promise of a bright future alongside the man she loved. And all of this had begun with a simple broom and a family story that spanned generations. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.